I want to bet more NFL win totals after the schedule comes out this week. What types of situations should I be looking out for?
This is Sharp Money with Patrick Meagher on VSiN, the sports betting network.
You can email sharpmoney@vsin.com. We got a lot of great questions that came in for Fez as we welcome you back for hour number 3. He may or may not be a half a Modelo in, so not a repeat of last week with the old fashions, but he stopped by a casino, was playing some blackjack. Let me ask you a question. So you're a lot of very good casinos, and maybe some casinos that could use a brain like yours to fix it. What would you do if a casino was struggling?
Slam dunk. Have a loss leader or one item that would drive traffic. So certain casinos do this right now. Boulder Highway, there's a little casino called the Skyline, and they used to have like $1 shrimp cocktail. It's now $2.50, but nevertheless, it harkens back to the 99-cent shrimp cocktail that used to be at the Golden Gate. Have a loss leader that you basically break even on, that people look forward to, doesn't cost you anything, and drives traffic.
What would be, so for example, I think you said you wanted to give Circa props. What is the one thing you'd point to for Circa and their property that's their go-to?
I think you have to pay to go into Circa Swim, but you don't have to pay to go into the sports book. So just physically walking into that sports book, don't have to bet nothing, don't have to gamble at all. You just sit there, stadium seating, and enjoy the show for free. South Point, you got to pay $1.50 now, I think, for a hot dog, or you can get, it's a good hot dog, or pay $4 for a bad hot dog in other places. You know, the Jackie Gone and the family understand that aspect of the business, and then you look at the badly run strip properties, and you can shoot a cannon in there, not hit nothing, and they're not giving anything away. How about, at the very least, also, think about what Steve Wynn did, and look at the Bellagio. They got two things. They got the fountains. You watch them for free. They got the conservatory. You walk through it for free. They could capitalize, monetize it, charge you admission. No, it's all free. You can see the stained glass over the registration area. There's 3 things at Bellagio that are free.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful property. What's your favorite property, Dustin Swedelson?
Let's see. I tell people from out of town to stay at Caesars. Here's why. I always tell them Caesars to me is the commercialized Vegas experience you're looking for if you haven't been here before. Once you establish that, I think you can start branching out to whether you want to be fancier, you want to be fun, whatever you want to do. I don't love the Strip. I don't enjoy it. I think it's a big hassle to get in and out for me. So if I'm going to go to a casino, I'm going to go to Circa. I know it sounds like I'm a shill, but Circa is big enough downtown where there's enough options to hang out and run into different people, do different things. You have Legacy Club, Barry's, Stadium Swim, as Steve mentioned, and then Mega Bar and all that stuff. And then up top, the overhang bar as well. So I like the different dynamics in there, like all the restaurants in there. Circa tends to be my go-to because it's not overwhelmingly large where I feel like I'm getting lost in it also.
It's a great property. It's okay to be a shill. You're doing your broadcast from the Circa property.
Yeah, and Derek, if you're watching this, I would like free drinks next time I see you.
Drinks are free in Vegas. That we've been over it multiple ways, including going to a craps table and buying in for $500 and not placing a bet. I want everyone to try this. If you're disqualified from drinking, if they ask you to make one bet, you're just going to buy in for $500, and you're going to do it right when the cocktail waitress is arriving, and you're going to order a nice round of drinks. My buddy Louie told me at Fontainebleau they have one desktop gambling video poker in the entire property. It's by the sports book. And if you put in coin in $50, you don't have to actually put it through. Just buy in for $50. You get high-end liquor up to $25. So you can have an old-fashioned with good liquor at the Fontainebleau with playing really 1 or 2 hands of video poker.
So many know Steve Fezzik is one of the best professional bettors when it comes to sports on the planet, but you may not know that he's adept as far as a poker player. Now, you sent over this note and it confused Dustin, but I'm ready for my answer because you've been telling me this for 10 years, or at least once you got to a certain age. World Series of Poker is coming up. You're going to play in 2 select tournaments. Dustin was confused by this. He said, Dustin, he's been telling us since he turned a certain age, he's going to play in the seniors event.
And now I can play in the super seniors event, the 60-year-olds plus. And the bottom line, I don't want to, like, hey, I'm the old guy, get off my lawn, so I'm gonna throw my generation under the bus. Old guys cannot play poker a lick. What do I mean by that? If you are betting and you raise pre-flop and then you bet after the flop and then you bet after the turn and an old guy check raises you on the turn, as sure as the sun's going to come up tomorrow, he will show you that he's flopped 3 of a kind. He has a pair of 5s. The flop has come 5, jack, ace. And your ace king, Patrick, is no good ever against that player. They play so by the book that they never make big moves like that. Whereas the young punk kids, well, they could have a 2-3 suited. You just never know.
So a little nittier once you get older?
Way nittier, way more predictable, and because of that, very, very beatable. And don't think that just because, like I used in that example, 5 jack ace, you can have ace jack. You're dead. He has pocket 5s. It's the only hand that he's going to play that line, the old conservative guys.
But Dustin, who's got more of a youthful exuberance as a 60-year-old than Steve Fezzik?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I imagine
seniors event. Nobody's got a vibe like that.
They have to ask for a birth certificate. You're like Danny Almonte walking in there.
Who's Danny Almonte?
He's the Little League World Series kid who got caught with the fake birth certificate.
That's right, the 19-year-old guy that kept throwing the no-hitters for yeah, exactly.
You look young, though, so you got to prove yourself.
You know, real quickly, for people say they want to win gambling, like, look out there. You can interview all these people here at the D. They say they want to win. They're lying. They don't want to win. There's this new invention. It's called the internet that might assist them. Don't bother. It's all luck. But seriously, with poker, I've never met anyone that has worked hard that doesn't say, you know what, it's a job. Just like anything else, maybe I don't get rich off of it, but of course I win playing poker. I have never met someone who's put in the time, studied and the like, that doesn't win playing poker. I just play no-limit poker, but it's better if you play all the games and get proficient at them. But just playing no-limit poker, I'm going to personally guarantee you're winning. And if you're not winning, you're just playing badly because you're playing on the weekend. There's so many tables in Vegas Friday night, 2 a.m., where like half the table, they're literally trying to give you your money. And then, of course, people come, well, if it's that easy, Fezzik, why don't you make a living doing that? Well, I could make a living doing that. I just make more betting sports, and there's just not enough hours in the day.
We've got our Sharp Money Pro Tip coming up. There's nobody better to give us a sports betting pro tip than one professional bettor, Steve Fezzik. We'll get to your question and answer coming up in just a bit. Just getting through your notes here quickly. Boston minus 125 to win a title. You like it?
I do. I think it's almost becoming a proxy, right, for the Boston versus the West series price. And Boston's going to be home, so they're going to be the better team, and they're going to be home, so they're going to be probably like minus 170-ish. Is that too outrageous? What do you think? Against the Denver or whoever survives in the West.
You're talking to two guys who are very low on the mental fortitude and other areas of the human body that the Celtics have right now.
It is a concern, and they haven't had a lot of reps in close games. And certainly there's a concern that, hey, whoever survives the West is going to be seasoned and is going to be ready for the finals. But the flip side is they're also going to be tired, and they're going to have had the heck beat out of them. I know there's like a 4-day break before the finals actually start, even if there's a 7-game series. But the fact Boston is likely to escape all these without having to play a series of more than 5 games with the Knicks getting all banged up. And Porzingis coming back, I can't see Boston not being a significant favorite. And frankly, I think it would be one of the biggest upsets that we've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
If Boston lost in the semis and the Eastern Finals.
It'd be one of the biggest stories ever. I mean, if they have such a cakewalk to the finals, I totally agree with your proxy point as well. Why betting the NBA draft lottery is Dumbo?
You know, I hear people like they feel like they have to go over everything, and you know, that's fine if we're like, you know, just doing like, you know, a fun sports betting show, but like, the bottom line with VSiN, like, we're here to focus on winning, all right? And so we play games that are beatable. So a sharp fifth grader can calculate what the right odds for each team, you know, take the number of ping pong balls divided by the total ping pong balls, and that's your chance of getting the number one pick, right? So I know we just had a 30-1, you know, odds hit, but I'm sure, like, the actual payouts were more like 25-1. And there's literally, I heard someone say, well, that just shows you anything can happen, and you got to take a flyer on these underdogs. You know what? You don't have to take a flyer on anything. It's like, look at Boston. They've already been upset in Game 2 in both their series. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't have been monster favorites. It's like when a team's only supposed to win 1 out of 30 times or 1 out of 35 times, it's going to hit all the time if you have enough samples, hundreds of samples each and every day.
I should mention Jared Goff has signed a 4-year extension with my Detroit Lions. He's my quarterback there, Steve Fezzik, getting paid. Also, we do have the openers. That September 5th, Thursday. The Chiefs are hosting the Ravens over at DraftKings right now. The Chiefs laying 3. And then the following day in Brazil, you've got the Packers and the Eagles. The Eagles laying 1.5. Do either of those two games do anything for you right now on May 13?
Gun to my head, I take Baltimore plus 0.5. Let's make the sausage. So power rating wise, I haven't completed my power ratings, but Kansas City probably 6.5 points better than an average team. Baltimore 6 points better. We'll make Kansas City just a smidgen better. What are we going to give them for home field? Give them 2, so that gets us to 2.5. I think it's a leap of faith to go to 3. I saw it actually open 3.5 in a few places. Just a bad number, and the wise guys scooped it up immediately.
I do have a question. We were just talking about your son, Johnny. This is insane, but he's 13 years old and was just killing it in calculus, which shows how advanced he is. But I was asking you about parenting. What makes for a good and a bad dad?
You know, this was kind of summarized in Nolan Dalla's book about Stewie Unger, One of a Kind. And Stewie was not going to win Dad of the Year. And at one point, you know, one of his friends says, you know, you just need to be there for your kids. You don't have to be a hero. You know, you can do anything with them. Just got to be around and participate with them. So, like, I was thinking, like, what's the one activity that dads are really, they should not be doing? You know, I hate golf. I hate golf as a, not that I hate golf, but the idea that, like, there are people out there that are golfing more than once per week, all right? So they'll be golfing on Sunday, and they play 18 holes, and they'll even try to squeeze in golf like maybe a Wednesday after work. It's like golf takes too much time. You're unable to be both a good dad and a guy that golfs more than once per week. So if your kids wind up screwed up and you golf more than once per week, Dustin, it's not your kids, it's you. You are a bad dad. Mark it down and fix it.
I just think there's a direct correlation between how good you are at golf and how little you work throughout the week.
Have you done the math? Or is
well,
this
I know
just a
I
theory?
stink at golf and I work too much. And then people I know who are awesome at golf, they tend to not go to work. They do their work on the golf course.
Well, there is an exception, like salespeople and like networking people. Sometimes you get a lot of deals, you know, done with golf. But I think that's largely an excuse. And if you want to be a good dad, you know what? If you love golf and you can't live without it and you're addicted to it, take your 3-year-old with you and then just go to the driving range and the putting green and hit chips and putts with them. And you know what? By the time he's 6, you can start taking him out to the course with you. Let's face it, golf is an excuse a lot of dads use to get away from their family. You're going to have a family, spend time with them.
You know, Stewie Younger is it's a tragic story, abuse issues, one of the great poker players of all time. But also what's fascinating, wasn't his leak sports betting? Like, he was a bad sports bettor, but a great poker player. Do you find that crossover a lot?
Now, that's interesting. Yes, and when you say abusive, obvious substance abuse. I don't think it was abusive to people.
No, that's what I meant. Thank you for clarifying.
So, so famously, he'd be betting the races. He'd be betting the sports. He'd bet on anything. He'd bet on Bob Stupak. He'd bet who could pitch the quarter closest to the wall, you know, for $1,000 a throw. And I don't know what it is about poker. I guess poker players intrinsically, to be a good poker player, world-class poker player, I talk about being nits, these older nits, but to be a world-class player, you got to be able to bomb the pot when you got nothing sometimes, rarely at times, and make that play without showing any emotion. It's very hard for people to know how much money is really worth to do just that sort of thing. That's an advantage I have when I play poker, because I'll play 2-5. And it's like, I just bet $2,000 on a football game. What do I care if I got a $300 buy-in? I have no problem shoving with garbage.
Okay, let's get to it. Question and answer, big guy. We're going to start with the emails. Make sure you give a shout to who's writing in, sharpmoney@vsin.com. This is Ask a Pro. You get to ask Steve Fezzik anything you want. He's good with this. Let's go, Dustin.
All right. Greg Murphy in Arkansas. I have a 60-1 ticket on OKC to win the Western Conference. 25 to win 15-25. How much should I hedge to lock it in?
Great question. So, and how do you lock it in? So, in general, first you want to evaluate what do you think OKC's chances are. I actually like OKC tonight. Obviously, it's a big game. They really need the game, and it's close to pick them. So you can start nibbling. Like, let's say you're going to bet. Let's say Greg wanted to bet on OKC. You like them tonight. Obviously, we're not going to bet OKC because we already bet our balls off, essentially, on them. Because what's their implied equity? What's their chance of winning the West at this point? I don't know. Call 20%, all right? So if it was 20% and you bet $100, you've got a 20% chance of if it's 50 to 1, I guess you got 60 to 1, it's like worth, $12,000. So he's basically got $12K, and maybe now you're never going to bet in Oklahoma City in any game that you like the other side. So if you like the Mavs, maybe bet 500 to 1,000 on any game that you feel that you like the other side. It's a bet you'd make anyways, and you can bet way more because you've got this enormous liability. Liability is the wrong term. You got this enormous asset in the Thunder that may not ever be realized. So that's the way I would get at it.
Great question and great answer from our guy in Arkansas. What was his name there, big guy?
Greg Murphy.
Greg Murphy.
Great job, Greg. And great answer from Steve. Okay, next up.
Andrew Rutch. Fez, if Circa Sports gave you a $100 free bet to use within a few days, what are you playing?
3-team parlay, 6 to 1. By the way, Circa actually, they pay slightly under 6 to 1. But
just
we
a
talked
snap
about,
call too.
But we talk about free bets. Remember, when I make the free bet, if I lose, they take it away. So if I just bet on Oklahoma City +1 tonight, and they win, I only get $50. So it's only worth, I only get $100. I take away my 100, so I'm going to win half the time. It's worth 50 cents on the dollar by playing a 3-team parlay. It's worth 75 cents on the dollar. We've gone through that before in previous questions.
Okay. Next up, big guy, let's go. Question and answer with Steve Fezzik here.
Let's see. Let's go with, we'll stay in NBA. Sean Atkins. Knicks Pacers. What angles do you look for at this point in a series with an exhausted, injured Knicks team? And also, since the show is sponsored by VSiN now, can we get Fez to throw in an upper decker?
No, I don't think. I've got the VSiN right here. Fez doesn't even know what it is. It is, of course, a nicotine pouch, which will keep Fez away from it. He's got enough going on in his life, but I do appreciate VSiN. Okay, so let's just quickly, context-wise, 2-2 going back to Madison Square tomorrow. The Pacers are a -120 in the series, and the Knicks, Fez, are even money.
So $40 fine on pass posting, easy after the fact. So the Knicks not having the depth that the Pacers have, it was very easy to forecast that they would give up when the game became hopeless and not fight back, and that was the case game 4. So should we see the Knicks in this series, and if they're lucky enough to advance to the next series, and I guess they're less than 50% to advance, they would, if they get down big in any game, probably figure, the fight's not going to be there, live to fight another day. So the fact that they were able to rest everybody fourth quarter is probably good here. One quick comment, I heard some media people, talking about trying to price the Pacers-Knicks series. And it's actually really easy. I mean, the Knicks are laying 2.5, right? And game 5, assume they're going to be laying 2.5 in game 7. That's 2.5 plus 2.5. What is that, Dustin?
5.
That's 5. What are the Pacers going to be laying game 6?
I don't know.
More than 5. So the Pacers collectively are going to be laying more than the Knicks. Thus, the Pacers should be the favorite. That's a quick back-of-the-envelope way of looking at who should be favored, just who's going to be laying more cumulative points over the course of a series that's tied.
He's on fire, like Johnny in calculus. His dad is on one today. Let's keep it going with the questions here, big guy.
All right, let's see. Jimmy Corleone. I guess that's his real name. Any thoughts on why the Chargers are such a long price for conference or Super Bowl? On what might be a massive coaching upgrade and a massive GM upgrade and a huge culture upgrade? Also, side note, does Patrick wear the same exact shirt every day? Just want to ask about that.
Well, the Chargers are fascinating because my friend Jim C. on the East Coast would tell me, got a bomb there over. And I noticed their season win number did go up from 8.5 to like 9.2. By the way, Circa has their NFL season win numbers. Came up today. Good job for Circa, -110 pricing, as opposed to the bane of sports bettors, that -115, and Gulp even -120 pricing. Back to the Chargers. So Jim would say, hey, you got a good quarterback and you got a good coach, you got to play over. The flip side is, how good is Herbert? He's won about half of his games historically. And who the heck is he going to throw that ball to? Keenan Allen has left the building for Chicago. Williams is gone. So not going to be dumping it off to the running back. He's gone also. So a whole new skill position players. And is Herbert the type of guy to adjust well to change? Not from what I've seen in his career.
We have more questions in the next segment from you to Steve Fezzik. I also have one that Will Hill texted us for you, Steve Fezzik. So Will Hill getting in on the action. If I were to, we're doing our pro tip today and every day here on Sharp Money for a new bettor, and I just think give your best tip to a brand new bettor. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Never bet into a line that is painted the same number. So example, let's say later today, the Thunder are playing the Mavericks, and the Mavericks are laying -1 everywhere. You have 14 outs, get as many outs as possible. That's good advice. But all 14 of them have Dallas -1, or where you have to bet Oklahoma, the Thunder +1, lay $1.10. You're getting no help at all. I don't like getting no help. You know what I like doing? I like getting an extra half point that most people aren't offering. So at flybynight.com sportsbook, I get +1.5. That's like betting +1, lay 1 on -102. I like playing in -102 vig, not -110 vig.
That's perfect. Never bet into a painted number. We love it. That's your pro tip of the day. And we are coming back with professional bettor Steve Fezzik. He's on fire today. We've got 5 more emails with the questions and answers, so I won't waste time. Big guy, we go directly to you. Oh, what was the person asking about my shirt? Do I wear the same shirt every day?
Oh, yeah, it was the last one. I just deleted it.
I have 3 of these. The 3 of these. Fezzik would like the efficiency. One's gray, one's blue, one's black. I rotate them every day.
You know,
How about that, Fez?
There's the comic strip Richie Rich, and they show him like in his master closet. He always wears the same thing, and he's got like 40 of those outfits he wears one after another.
You're
identical.
more of a Betty or Veronica?
Veronica.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to it. What do you got?
Let's see. Anthony Ventresca, our boy. With the PGA Championship this week, any tips for trying to attack betting the golf majors?
I'm always a weather guy, and this is it Colin Jones, the 2020, I might have gotten the name wrong, winning at Sports Betting 2020, and he talked about how he bet golf to win, and like one of his favorite things was just to notice when something fundamental has changed with the course. So like the ultimate was like these Masters, the second round when the wind was a hail, and like Will Hill was like texting texting me, play these guys to bogey the next hole. That it just was. So the weather can change a player fundamentally, all the players, or one player can become injured or compromised, and that happened in Tiger in the Masters as well when we got into his rounds 3 and 4 to be fading him.
Okay, good one. Weather. Let's keep it going. Go ahead, big guy.
Let's see, Brody. Our only legal sports book in Florida has been offering bonuses during NBA playoffs. Must make a 3-team parlay bet. Same game parlays allowed, and get a bonus refund up to $100 if it loses. Worth it?
Absolutely. Now, is it a one-time promo, or can I do it over and over? Obviously, it's got to be a one-time promo.
One time,
yeah, or there'd be lines from the Hard Rock all the way to Jacksonville. Yes.
So absolutely worth it. You definitely got to take advantage of those promos. Steve will drive to Arizona to get a promo.
You know, I'm trying to think of like, great question. What was like some of the best promos that Nevada has ever had? You know, Arizona Charlie's East and West. This is like 2003. All right, they had a promo where if you played a parlay card, you got $10 parlay card. You got a ticket, for a raffle drawing, and literally. Frank Betty, famous sports bettor, myself, Bad Cutter, and a couple other guys, the Midnight Cowboy who I was living with, we monopolized that sucker. So we had 85% of the tickets in the drum for Arizona Charlie's East and West. So we're thumping them with our advantage parlay cards and using it as an excuse to like plow in more than any normal human being. We're like, we just want to win the drawing. But they gave away $5,000. And we were consistently, this is funny, at Arizona Charlie's West, where they didn't cheat, allegedly cheated, we'd win 9 out of the 10, consistently. All right, 4,500 of the 5,000. Yet somehow, at Arizona Charlie's I'll make sure I get it right. At the West, the one on Decatur, we would win like 4 out of the 10 prizes. So not to say that the envelopes were heated for the locals or cooled or iced, but it defied description how I would have 500 drawings and consistently guys with 2 would wind up winning, and I wouldn't.
You're wild.
He's not bitter.
You're wild. Let's keep it going. Next one, big guy.
Jerry Stallings writes in, I want to bet more NFL win totals after the schedule comes out this week. What types of situations should I be looking out for?
All right, so you want to look for, this is already actually public information. You don't want an international home game unless you're Jacksonville. So Jacksonville and London is fine, but as an example, Philly is playing and they're the
Brazil.
against Green Bay, and so that's bad. They lose a home game in Sao Paulo. So that, the international game's bad to be the home team. You don't want to travel, but if you're the road team, it's acceptable because now you don't face, any kind of hostile crowd. Rest advantage. Warren Sharp is the king at this. Net rest advantage, what you get before a game versus your opponents. He compiles it all, so see Warren Sharp to get that information. Week 18, you want to play the best team week 18. If you're the Jets, you want Buffalo week 18. If you're Seattle, you want San Fran week 18. Why? You might be playing the spare 49ers. They might be resting their guys before the playoffs. So you want your juggernaut games to go ahead and be week 18. Fire and ice, one more. If you are a team from the north, like the Bears, you want ideally play the Miami Dolphins in December and watch them shivering on the sideline. Conversely, if you're a hot weather team like Miami, come September, 90 degrees, you're in the shade, and you'd love nothing more than to have Seattle come to town and go ahead and be taking IV fluids by the third quarter.
I salute you. He doesn't know these questions. He just gave 4 great answers on betting futures as far as the NFL off the top of his dome. Let's continue. Dustin, go ahead.
All right, so these last 2 emails are actually in similar vein because you did something that may have opened up a can of worms. It's going to open up your email inbox. Murray wrote in, I've been in the game for years. If you're looking for, quote, a few good men, I'm sure I qualify. I live in New Jersey, but in Vegas frequently. Used to work at Don Besta for a couple of years. Lee wrote in, similar thing. Last week, Steve mentioned he's looking for a few good men to mentor. I'd love to throw my name in the ring. Also, I have a challenge for him, game of chess. I win, he mentors me. He wins, I'll subscribe to his service.
He can have my service for free because it's such a cool. It's funny because my chess rating's still 2,100, which is like a candidate master, but my actual playing strength might be 1,800 because I'm like so out of it. Although I felt bad, I played one of the street hustlers here downtown. They got the chess set up. And I won on time because I could still move super fast, and we both had 3 minutes to play. And I felt so bad, I resigned when he had 2 seconds left and paid him $20. But the absolutely, hey, at Fezzik Sports, DM me, send me a message, and don't send me a message. I'm interested. Give me a bio. Let me know your background. Obviously,
say you heard it here, so he knows it's from this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're doing for a living, how much you're betting seriously. What books have you? If you've been limited everywhere, don't bother me. Like if your limits are $8 to bet at like 17 books, call Dustin. If you're serious and you got books that are uncompromised, let me know.
Steve is an honorable dude. Like, if you hit him up at Fezzik Sports 2 Z's and a K on Twitter, he's not lying. He'll do what he says. Like, how about you? You come on this show, you're more popular than the 2 of us.
Or more unpopular.
All people want is what shirts I'm wearing. Hey, are you wearing the same shirt every day?
I want to publicly, but I don't want to tout my own horn here, okay? But like publicly, since 2013 at pregame, I put up a very solid record. But I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk about this year. This year, fully documented, doubly documented, Patrick Meagher, I am down 18.5 units in all my plays that I've sent out to my subscribers, winning. As much as I talk about how easy everything is, winning against widely available numbers is not easy.
Well, I was going to ask you, is it better to have a text service, or I'm sure you do, maybe you could correct me, where you're giving the number in real time that you would bet, and if they decide to bet into an adjusted number, that's not on you.
Yeah, we just implemented this, and it's really cool. So what happens is that you get a text notification of the play. So if I want to play a second half under, and like if it was just an email notification, it would be really dicey whether you could get down on stuff. And now I've got a lot more freedom to be able to give out stuff and people to get it immediately, because unfortunately my stuff does indeed move. Example, I played the UFL, I played the Brahmas, the San Antonio against the Houston Leathernecks. Boy, was that a snoozer. So I played under 40, closed 37.5, and there was very limited offense in that game. But by the way, there was the rare 9-point play. It's 12-3 with 3 minutes to go. Final score 15-12. The Brahmas got the 9-point play, and the other team fumbled, and then they kicked a field goal to win.
But what you heard right there is what I've always said about a professional bettor like Steve, is I think at times they'd rather get the best of the number than even win a bet.
Oh, my God. If I got +7 on the game that closes pick'em and that team loses by 21, I'm still in hog heaven happy.
How long do you keep that ticket for?
Just want the best of it. Fezzik Sports on Twitter, pregame.com. Thank you, Steve. And again, if you want your questions answered next week with a professional bettor, it's sharpmoney at VSiN.com. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you.
All those dads out there, stop playing golf twice a week.